Yeah.
Coach, midseason when you guys started having offensive troubles, it seemed to be the games where Price seemed to be on the run as much. Is there going to be more of an emphasis of trying to keep him in the pocket in this game?
Well, I don't know necessarily that. When we're at our best, we are moving him around intentionally, as well as keeping him in the pocket and run the football and play action passing. You know, we're at our best when we're balanced. When we become a one-dimensional football team and we're just dropping back and he's standing in the pocket, we're not great. And part of that, middle of the season, we were playing some really good fronts there, early, middle of the season. But I think that, you know, we've matured some as an offensive football team. We've got a little better at that. But the challenge for me in putting this game plan together and calling the game is allowing him to move around and not just be a stationary target where they can pin their ears back and come after him.
How much of a key then does Bishop Sankey come into that?
Huge key. Bishop's had a tremendous year for us. From where the year began for him and to where he's gotten to with, you know, obviously an opportunity to go over 1,300 yards, and he's got 15 touchdowns on the year. So he's had a very productive year running the ball. He's had a very productive year catching the ball out of the backfield. I think he's got 25 or some odd catches coming out of the backfield. He's still got plenty of room to grow, but it'll be important for us, again, to remain balanced as an offensive football team. When we're at our best, when we're running it, throwing it, play action passing, moving the pocket. So that'll be big for us in the game.
Boise State's offense this year isn't quite what it's been in the Kellen Moore years, but their defense has certainly carried the load as well. You've had a lot of time to break down film on that. Your thoughts on their defense?
Well, I think we're very similar defensively, quite honestly. You know, you look at, I think they're fourth in the country in creating turnovers, or third, and we're fourth or fifth, whatever that is. I think they've created 34 and we've created 33. Both defenses are extremely opportunistic. They have athleticism on the perimeter, whether it's their two defensive ends, the safety, the two corners. Those guys make plays on the football, create turnovers, similar to us that way. So they're a defense that is extremely disciplined. They don't give up big plays. They don't bust coverages and give up those types of things. So that they make you earn what you get.
Given everything, the personnel shifting and stuff, the offensive line, how do you feel like it progressed from game one to game now?
Well, I thought we've progressed adequately. You know, I mean, we faced some really good defenses early on in the year, and you know, some teams faced those really good teams later in the year and had some of the similar struggles we had against those teams. I thought we went through a stretch there late in the season where we played pretty well up front. It was a bit disappointing. We didn't have our best game in the last game against Washington State. So I know the guys are hungry for the challenge to come out and redeem themselves here in the bowl game.
When you look at that, looking forward, I mean, you lose just Drew. You should have a couple guys coming back.
Yeah.
Do you feel when you look at?
Well, I like our depth. You know, I think, you know, when you look at where we're at, we lose one senior. We get Tanagawa back. We get Kohler back coming off of injuries. We also get the development of a lot of young redshirt freshman type kids that can add to the depth of this offensive line. So it'll be a very competitive spring practice for us with these guys to see who's going to earn these jobs, as also you know, who can be a really adequate backup when we do get nicked up. Because the reality of it is, we're not going to go through next season with the same 5 starters and just be healthy. Injuries occur, and you have to have a plan for when they do.
Is this a game that you pretty much play like a conference game, or is there a chance that you could maybe put some guys in that you typically wouldn't, just to get under fire and see how they do?
We're going to win the game. That's how we're playing the game. We're going there to win. So whatever that entails of who's playing and at what times, the goal is to go win the game.
Kohler and Tanagawa, do you think they'll both be ready for spring?
That one probably will be close. You know, I don't know. I know this. We won't rush them into spring just to get them to practice in spring ball. They both have a good amount of experience of playing football in our system. So we'll see what we get out of them. What I do want is for when fall camp rolls around, they're healthy, they're strong, they're in great shape. That is what's going to be vitally important to me. We've got a lot of young kids in the program that I do want to get extensive looks at in spring football practice. And so whether that's a Jake Eldrenkamp or a Nathan Dean or a Corey Favai, you know, Hindi, those types of guys are going to be what's really important to me for in spring practice.
Can you kind of give us a rundown of Collier, Cooper, Jamora, and Lagafuena?
They're in the rehab process. You know, I mean that's at this stage of it all, it's hard to really give an update. They're all so far so good is the best way to describe them. But they both have a long way to go. They all have a long way to go as well.
With those linemen, I mean, this year obviously the guys who are playing now have defined roles, but could things shift a lot?
Sure,
Or-
sure. That's the beauty of the way we do things here, and we've seen that at numerous positions. Guys battle, guys compete, and so that's the intrigue of it all, is who can respond and who can maintain and get better, who might take a step back for a variety of reasons. And so, I'm excited to get James Johnson back on the field with us. Some of those linemen, Jamora back, those types of things. I think back to some other guys in our program who maybe didn't play as much early on and then bounced back. And DeAndre Goodwin comes to mind. James Johnson, who started really great, took a step back, then came back going again. Justin Glenn starting, got hurt, kind of took a year to get back, now ends up having a really good senior year for us. So those are the things that make college football unique, and at least in our program, and that you're going to earn your time and you're going to earn your spot through hard work and preparation and conditioning and execution. And we allow our guys to show us that. And that's what spring ball is about. That's what fall training camp's about. And then that's what the season is about as you continue to move forward.
You mentioned Glenn. He's one of the guys that played their last game here coming up that was kind of here before you got here. What have those guys meant to you in the program?
It's been unique in that, our senior class is kind of made up of half guys that we inherited, half guys that we recruited in our first class. And those guys, Drew Schaefer, Justin Glenn, Cody Bruns, I'm missing a couple, I know that, I'm sorry. But those guys, what I've appreciated about them is their ability to accept what we brought in, because they obviously signed on for something different the year before we came on board. And then when we came on board, they've been extremely willing. They've battled, they competed for us. We've had some amazing moments together. We've also had some gut-wrenching moments together. But through it all, their leadership has been tremendous, and they've battled and competed for us, and I'm proud of them. I'm happy for them that they're going to their third consecutive bowl game after what was, I'm sure, a tough season for them when it looked a little doom and gloom. So for them to be leaders on a team that's going to our third consecutive bowl game, I'm happy for them.
You always mention that these extra bowl practices is big, especially for the young guys.
Sure.
Anybody just really stepped up in the last couple weeks, caught your eye?
Cleveland Wallace, definitely. Brandon Beaver, Dwayne Washington, Siler, Miles, Corey Littleton, I think is definitely improved for us there. So that's just to name a few of those guys that we haven't seen on the field on Saturdays, but have done some really good stuff for us here in practice.
And something I've been meaning to ask you for a while, and I don't know if anybody's brought this up, but with Travis Coons, he had a couple left-footed punts this year.
Not intentionally, but
can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, I think it speaks to his athleticism. I mean, first of all, we're talking about a guy who does all three, and it's very few and far between, especially in college football. You see that the guy is punting, kicking off, and kicking field goals. But he's a tremendous athlete, and a couple snaps that got through his hands, he was able to not only save it, not only get the ball off with his left foot, but actually hit it pretty good to turn into pretty good punt. So I think it just speaks to his athleticism.
Had you seen him do that in practice
Never.
before, or were you shocked?
I was pretty surprised. I told him when he came off that I would have done the same thing, so I'm just glad that he did it.
Getting back to Boise's defense real quick, have you spent any extra time talking to Justin Wilcox, picking his brain?
It's unique. I've been somewhat in the scenario, early on the first couple years when we were playing USC, with just kind of, some of the personnel, some of the players. A lot of the guys that are playing for them now were just young guys when Justin was there. So you try to get a little gauge of the personnel. They're obviously a different defense now than what they were then, but they're playing good, that's for sure.
Can you talk a little bit about the agenda once you get down into Vegas?
Yeah.
Anything special planned?
Well, they have their traditional events for the bowl game. I don't have them right in front of me to rattle them all off, but I think the Las Vegas Bowl does a really nice job of allowing the kids the time to prepare for the game, but also give them the experience of Vegas. I know we're going to a Vegas show and things of that nature, but we'll go down Monday. That'll be our travel day, and we'll practice like a normal game week: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And in the meantime, we'll find our time to experience Las Vegas in a really good manner, in a classy manner, and then try to win the game on Saturday.
I know every coach talks about, teaches their players that road games are a business trip. As a coach, do you kind of have to let that loose a little bit on a bowl game trip? Because you don't want it to be, you want them to have some fun and be
I
rewarded.
think that we've found a formula here that's been pretty successful. You know, we've performed relatively well in the 2 previous bowl games we've gone to, and when it's football time, it's football time, and we'll be locked in and focused for that. When it's time to have our fun, we'll enjoy ourselves within the parameters that are set for us. But at the end of the day, like I was saying earlier, we're going there to win the game, and that's the purpose of the trip.
Good.